doctors, lawyers, businessmen, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm making coffee and people are looking at me thinking, you loser. Like, what are you doing, man? You're throwing your life away. And I literally had people saying that to me.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Coffee Made Me Do It podcast. My name is Dario and I am your host today. I'm really excited to be speaking to a friend of mine, Cole Torode, multiple time Canadian Barista Champion, Canadian Brewers Cup Champion, 2 times finalist at World Barista Championships, and more recently, part of the team that helped Boram win the World Barista Championships. Cole is an inspiration and it's just amazing to get to talk to him today. I really hope you enjoy this episode. How's it, Cole?
Dario, what's up, brother?
How are you, man?
Doing well, doing really well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. How about you?
Super late over there.
It's a little after 10 o'clock. No big deal.
Okay, all right, all good. And you're in Japan at the moment?
I am in Japan. Konnichiwa.
Amazing, man. You've been on the most insane, what seems like a tour of Asia specifically over the last few months. Is that accurate? I've just been stalking you on Instagram.
It has been mostly Asia. I've been away. I'll be 5 months by the time I'm home next week. I'm going home next week. It's been mostly Asia. I did a quick stop in Dubai for the last day of World of Coffee, and then I was in Italy, Switzerland, and Romania during the trip as well.
Okay, amazing, man.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's got a lot to do with post WBC, which we'll get into a little bit later. But congratulations to you and your team on an incredible win in Greece. We were blown away.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Super
amazing,
appreciate it.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah, man. So for those of you who are listening in and are not aware of who Cole is, I have done a bit of an intro before this episode starts, but correct me if I'm wrong here, 2 times Canadian Barista Champ, once a Brewers Cup Champion, and twice in the finals at WBC. Is that accurate?
That is
from
accurate,
a competition
yeah.
point of view. So that is not who you are. That is just your competition credentials. Part owner of Rosso, Roastery, and Forward Coffee, which I am really interested to talk about a bit more just now. Before getting into coffee, what is kind of the background? How did you end up in this fascinating world of legal drugs and caffeinated drinks?
Yeah. I got into the industry kind of 2009. I am 32. I graduated from high school in 2009. I got into the industry basically right out of high school. And had a couple of jobs in high school. They were all hospitality. One of the more memorable ones was working the breakfast buffet at a hotel in the city, and I would make coffee. I was kind of the guy ordered to make cappuccino, latte, whatever it is that the client has gone and ordered. And that beverage was being made with illy pods and old school steaming techniques. Graduated high school, wanted to travel, took a gap year. Canadians are quite common, I suppose, for taking a gap year, traveling around. We got a good passport to travel on and sort of figuring out life. So I graduated high school, wanted to do that, didn't end up doing that. Kind of bad time economically. That was kind of the downturn in the world, 2009. So kind of financial crisis in North America and many parts of the world. And didn't travel, ended up getting a job, worked at kind of a mom and pop coffee shop, sort of back to the same coffee making techniques, not pods anymore, but now ground. I would grind the coffee, but same sort of shit, different style. And then my brother had a coffee shop, and I didn't really realize or recognize it at the time, but I enjoyed making coffee, and I just didn't like this job. And I thought maybe I'll go work for my brother. Maybe that'll be more enjoyable, more interactive, et cetera, et cetera. I won't do it for a long time, just for a good time, and figure out going to school next year. And That was late 2009, early 2010. Got quite
Yeah.
into, he taught me latte art. We started to bring in George Howell. So like some top
Awesome.
quality coffee at the time. Fell into the coffee rabbit hole, started competing that year, and kind of
Straight into it.
never looked back. Yeah, I'm still
Amazing.
technically on a gap year, still haven't gone to university, still kind of telling my parents maybe one day.
Maybe one day I don't know where I read this, but I read in one of your bios, maybe it was on the Delacorte page, but you said if you grow up one day, you'll become an architect. Is that still on the
Oh
cards?
yeah. Is it still in the cards? No, I think architecture is one of those things at this point. I appreciate what an architect is in terms of the designer of a building, but I think today I maybe appreciate myself as an architect in not the sense of building a building, but building other things that maybe, come to the mental state and trying to put life and structure behind them. So an architect
That's
in a
very cool.
non-traditional sense, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really cool, man. So your brother's cafe at the time, was that the beginning of what is now Rosso Roasteries?
Yeah, so back then it was Cafe Rosso, and
Okay.
we decided to start roasting. We did our Q grader. I'll give you the kind of 2 minute history. So,
Yeah, cool.
2010 we started competing. 2011 we had some issues with competition, kind of led us to want to roast. We also we had two cafes. We were opening a third cafe the next year. So we thought maybe in terms of the mathematics, economics, it made sense to start roasting our own product. So 2012 we started roasting. 2011 we did our Q grader. At this point there was two places in North America that offered the Q grader, and I kind of like to say that just because it's a friendly reminder that the specialty coffee industry is very young. 2011
Yeah,
is, 13 years ago. You can now do your Q grader in probably 50 to 100 locations. I don't know, a shitload of locations in North America.
wow, that's
Um,
incredible.
yeah, so we did that early on. I think there was 8 or 9 Q graders in all of Canada, and started roasting 2012. Kept competing, loved the competition, and kind of realized that we were building a business as we were competing, and the choices we were making in the competition realm were to better ourselves as professionals and competitors, but also in turn they led to business decisions, and sort of pushed ourselves in terms of who we were and how we were acting in the business world. So fast forward, we 2015 started sourcing all of our coffees direct. 2016, 17, I bought into the business when we started roasting. I did a lot
Okay.
of DIY stuff, helped kind of put all the money I had in my piggy bank into building up the roastery. So I became a partner with my brother Dave. And 2015, we started sourcing everything direct. 2018, we finally broke through in competition and won in Canada. So 8 years into our competition journey, won the Canadian
Wow,
Barista Championship. Went on to fifth in WBC that year, which was both an eye-opening and humbling experience to make it to the WBC finals. Went
that's
back in
incredible.
2019. Also launched a green importing business. So kind of just spliced our roasting business and sort of the buying model that we had into its own standalone
Okay.
to sell to other roasters and try to make the higher tier of coffee more accessible. We can talk about that later. And
Cool.
2019 won the Canadian Nationals again. Went on to represent the Worlds and came third. Again, cool experience, very humbling. 2020, feeling good, lots of fuel in the fire. Went back and ended up third in Canada. Have not competed in barista since, but have been focusing on the businesses and focusing on helping others kind of get over the line and sharing our knowledge with the goal of trying to ideally improve coffee and bring a greater sense of professionalism to the industry.
That's amazing. Amazing. Like, I think, so many people getting into coffee and into competition expect quick results. And I remember
Yeah.
having a conversation with a group of people years ago. It was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and they were talking about a certain competitor in South Africa who, to quote the person who was speaking in this group, should hang it up now. They've competed for long enough and they haven't made it through yet. And it was probably their fourth season competing. So yeah, I think a lot of people expect instant results, but yourself, and I spoke to Sam Cora from Honor. Like, it takes people a lot of time to figure it out. Especially if you don't have the guidance of someone who's done it before. So incredible results. It also shows that if by the time you win in Canada, you're very competitive on the world stage as well. Just due to the fact that there is so much competition in Canada itself. Is that an accurate statement?
I would say definitely an accurate statement, and I would say for anybody out there who is a competitor and actively participating in the space, competitor, coach, supporter, any or all of the above. The purpose of competition is, and you might find this a cheesy answer, or they might find this a cheesy answer, but the purpose of competition is not really to put a trophy on your shelf. I think the purpose of the competition is to elevate the industry as a whole. The more people that participate with, an open heart and a big drive to grow as individuals and in turn grow as a community, the stronger we are going to be as an industry. And so, if you're putting your hat in the ring and you're getting up there and you're trying it out every year, there's so much tangible good that you are doing for yourself as a professional, for yourself as just a person, as an individual, for your community, and for this industry. Like, I believe there's no loss that you can take through the scope of competition. There's only the opportunity to win. But you have to see the right perspective, and you have to have the right mindset to do that. I think people who are just going out there and looking to win, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and it's going to be that much harder to get over the line.
That is really, really interesting. In your role as, I know, Boram's set was around, teamwork making the dream work, and you're an integral part of that team. Do you feel that part of the reason for the success was that mindset coming into the competition, that the goal was to improve coffee, improve the industry, improve communities and so on, more than just take the trophy home? Was everyone on the same page?
Oh yeah, totally. I think the beauty in Boram's presentation is it has nothing. Well, I got to be careful with my language here. I was going to say it has nothing to do with him. Obviously, it has everything to do with him, but the way he presents it is in such a humble way, and it comes across with such humility that he spends his 15 minutes talking about everybody else and how everybody else has been so powerful in his journey that he wouldn't be there if it wasn't for you, whoever you are in the role of the story, but you matter, and that's why he's there. And there's I think so much inspiration that comes from that type of narrative, and what he's been able to achieve and do since then, is even more inspiring. Like, he's been on the road for, I don't know, that was June, so whatever the math is there, 8 months. He's been on the road for 6.5 months, and he's been doing seminars. He's been doing open coffee services. He's been doing all sorts of activations around the world to try to also show people that he's not on this pedestal. He's not, riding a high horse somewhere. He's a normal person just as much as you, me, and the next person out there. And the only difference is, he got up into the arena and took competition very seriously, but he did it with the goal of, one, elevating Brazilian coffee. That was the primary, and then, to show people that Brazil was serious in the specialty coffee space. And I think the impact that's had in Brazil in the barista community is massive. In the specialty coffee or even conventional coffee space is massive, and in the consumption is massive. And he's, single-handedly through his teams, but not single-handedly, but been able to make a difference in a huge community nationally for himself, but then globally, who knows what that ripple effect looks like.
Yeah, that's just incredible. The one takeaway that I had from his set, and also just like seeing him and the team around him and the way that they were operating at the World of Coffee, there just seemed like a lot of humility, but also like quiet confidence. Like the work had been done. Now we're here to do what we've been practicing. But there was just such a sense of humility. And I really, we're in the middle of our competition season now. We're prepping for nationals at the moment. And we were fortunate enough, Fani, who you met briefly in Greece, won our regionals. And then Lutle, who was competing for the first time, came second. So we've got two going through to nationals, which is very exciting. But we've been talking a lot about what is the purpose? What is the impact that we want to make on the competition stage? Is competition still relevant? And certainly in South Africa, where I think a lot of people struggle from a resources point of view to be competitive. So getting access to good coffees, finding someone to help them with, set preparation and just a bit of guidance is difficult. And I think the community is very split as to the relevance of competition. Is it just this playground for coffee's elite to flaunt their fancy coffees and toys? But I really don't have the perspective. I really feel that in any industry, we need the pointy end to pull the rest of the industry along. And that for me is what competition's about. It's about exploring the possibilities and then letting that, exploration and the lessons learned filter down to everyday cafe environments and benefiting the end consumer. But I think that there are two very divided camps at the moment. Do you hear the same sort of thing around the world? Are people like, I don't know if you are encountering people in the competition space who are finding it difficult to see the relevance and, from a cost perspective, if it's justified to chase competition success to this day? Would you say that it still is very much a good playground for people to, well, not playground, a good platform for people to launch careers and businesses and that type of thing? Is it worth the investment, I guess, is the big question.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even hesitate. I have to say yes, but a lot of the reason I say yes is, I've been in the space so long. I've gone through the ups and downs. I've been competing, right? And to me, my career exists because of my history in competitions in a lot of ways. I'm calling you from Japan right now, where I'm working with some people here talking about competition related things, but in turn, I'm also doing some consulting work. I'm trying to help them on their business, be it on quality, cost of goods, importing, procurement, that sort of thing. So I like to think I'm not a one-trick pony in the competitions or in the coffee space where all I can do is compete. I like to also think that I'm an expert in coffee. I'm able to see a globalized perspective on consumption patterns, on the way that people interact with coffee, the way that people perceive coffee, and I think all of that understanding and expertise comes from the time and energy that I've put into competition. And I think for your guys that are going through Fanny and Lule, is that right?
Lutle, yeah,
Luthe.
close.
Um,
Yes.
for the two of them going through, first of all, congratulations. Super exciting to be 1-2 going into nationals. I wish them the best of success going into the
Thank
next
you.
steps there. But I think beyond that, it's important to ask, why are you competing?
Yeah.
And that answer is, it's going to be a personal answer. But for me, competition has changed through the years, right? 14 years of competing here. I'm 32 years old. My life has changed in many ways through the years, right? I've kind of aged through my journey of competition. And when I first got into it, in all honesty, I was a, kind of shithead 17, 18-year-old kid that decided, I gave you the intro already, I decided not to go to university. I wanted to travel, dropped the ball on that too. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, what am I doing with my life? And I've got people asking me that as well. And, all my friends are in university. All my friends are chasing the quote unquote dream of being doctors, lawyers, businessmen, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm making coffee, and people
Yeah.
are looking at me thinking, you loser. Like, what are you doing, man? You're throwing your life away. And I literally had people saying that to me. And, I was a loser in their eyes, because in 2010, 2009, like, coffee's a dead end job. It's a transient job. It's not a profession. And,
Absolutely.
that's terrible. It's absolutely terrible to consider then, or to consider now, that people have that view in the space, or in any space, frankly. And I think competition, one, gave me the ability to connect with people in the space, with like-minded individuals in the community, and get to know other professionals, or other losers, as my friends thought of them back then, or people thought of them back then, but other professionals. And get to know the community, but also become better at what I was doing. And at the beginning, I had absolutely no ability to win, nor did I think I was, not only did I not think I was capable, that wasn't my goal. My goal was just simply learn and connect with others. And maybe if I can improve, the people that I work with, they can improve through osmosis. At a certain point, we
That's
got
awesome.
pretty good, because my brother and I would treat it like sports. We grew up playing sports, and so we would practice. We would, train after the cafes closed. We would rearrange the equipment to try to best emulate the stage setup, and we would work on it. And I think my purpose today, which has shifted numerous times through the course of the years, my purpose today is to try to tell people that there is so much future in this industry, and there is so much ability to be a professional here, and to chase your dreams, your goals, your innovations, whatever you might see. There are so many pathways in the world of coffee, or specialty coffee specifically, or the broad category of coffee. And kind of shake your friend and show them that this world has changed so rapidly over the last 2 years, over the last 4 years, over the last 6 years, over the last 10 years, like, an unbelievable amount in every single aspect of the industry, from the coffee shop to the farm to, ready to drink capsule product.
Yeah. Yeah. As you're
And
speaking, you're just getting me more excited about the industry itself. We really are in such an awesome time as a young industry, with a product that is so widely consumed but so misunderstood
so misunderstood still to this day, and will continue to be for, I think, for years to come. But we need more people to help kind of shake the understanding, not physically shake it, but tell people that this is a beautiful world. It's a beautiful community. There's lots going on. There's lots of opportunity, and you don't need a postdoctorate education or some crazy education to jump in and have impact.
Exactly. That is so awesome. I think, one of the roles that you've shifted into so well has been, well, I mean, I think it started a long time ago from what you've spoken about already, but buying green coffee and sourcing green coffee and building relationships with producers and rolling that now into Forward Coffee and the incredible work that you guys are doing. How did that all come about? How did you transition into being primarily a green buyer? And a question I get asked all the time is, how do you find these amazing producers around the world?
I'll start there and I'll go backward a little bit, but I think a lot of it
Cool.
is making yourself present in community spaces. So, you and I saw each other in Athens. I think it's trying to be available at a show like that, if it makes sense for you to get there financially or in terms of time, etc. I think there's a massive amount of a massive amount of networking that can be done at a show like that, where you just kind of walk around with the open mindset to connect with different people, and you'll meet everybody in the industry that wants to be there for the same reason. Everybody's going to that show with the idea that, hey, maybe I'll bump into Dario. Whether I know Dario or not, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I'll bump into Dario, right? And we're going in an open mind and looking to connect with others. So I'd say that's the number one way of doing it today, and just being open and walking around with a smile and looking like you're, friendly and want to have a conversation about coffee. It's not overly complex. Go to the different booths around the show. When you sit down to maybe watch competition, maybe ask the person sitting next to you, hey, do you work in the space? Oh, you're a producer? Oh, yeah, you're from Bolivia? Oh, wow, you have a farm? And next thing you know, you're sitting next to a coffee producer and you're having a great conversation. You exchange contact, and 6 months later, you're in that country visiting their farm. That's maybe a little bit of a fairy tale, but that's a possible thing to happen. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
I think word of mouth, social media.
That's been key for us. I mean, one of our most sort of valuable partnerships is with Alejo Castro from Volcan Azul in Costa Rica, whose farm, by the way, I walk into the bathroom in the QC lab and lo and behold, there's a Forward Coffee sticker on the window.
I have no idea how that got there.
Well, it got there, man. Your stickers are everywhere, apparently. I actually intended to take a photo and send it to you, but I completely forgot. But I had a good laugh. I was like, Cole's been here, but obviously not. It was somebody else. But I mean, in that case for us, it was a Patrick Rolfe podcast when I first got into coffee, and he was talking to Alejo, and I just loved his approach to life and family and farming and all the rest of it. And a simple email, and 5 years later, we've got this amazing relationship, and it's chance interactions, but not chance as in you weren't looking for it. You're looking. You've got your eyes open. You're searching. And when you hear something that you like about their approach or whatever the case may be, I agree with you. Social media and word of mouth for us has been key. Obviously, you guys are doing things on a much bigger level, but that's been key for us. So Forward started in, you said 2016, is that right? Or 2018?
We launched in 2019. We came up with the idea or the concept or the brand, however you want to call that, in probably 17, 18. We were working on it then. I've actually got a story about Alejo, how I met Alejo. I'll complement your
Okay.
story with Alejo with a quick one here. I did a trip to Berlin. This is my first time going to World of Coffee. I have just recently been in the finals for WBC, so it was a work opportunity that came up for me to go to Berlin. Cool. What an amazing opportunity. I'm going to take it. And I think I'm there for 5 days or something goofy, like a very short amount of time. And there's one night that it's after the show, and I run into a Canadian friend earlier in the day who sends me a message later that night and says, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm at a, I don't know, 5 Elephant party or something like that." And he shows up as we leave this party. We're going for late night snacks or something goofy, and he's with Alejo. And I don't know Alejo. We've never met. So now we're kind of chatting. It's probably like 1:30 in the morning or something goofy. And we end up being kind of the last two standing on a, late night in Berlin. And so we kind of have a laugh about that and exchange contact details. And I think in 2021, maybe he came to Calgary. If I've got my dates right, he came to Calgary to actually visit with a Calgary-based guy who buys his coffee, a different importer based here in Canada, that's based here in Canada. And Alejo sent me a note, said, "Hey, what's up? I'm in your city. Are you around?" We caught up for a coffee, and then I went and visited the farm in 2022. I didn't buy any coffee because of the importer, but we just went on very friendly terms and just kind of said hi. Got to see Volcan Azul and check it out. So, I mean, I tell that story not to share that Alejo and I were out late partying, but to kind of just share that you never know who you're going to meet when you go to these shows, and just kind of keep an open mind. Like, great guy. Alejo's a fantastic guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's such a legend. Such a great guy. That just like makes me think of the Loring party. I don't know if you went to the Loring party, the street party at WBC. Well, sorry, at WBC in Greece. In fact, I think you did. I bumped into you when we were leaving. I think you guys were arriving.
Was that on the very last night?
Very last night, yeah. Like some random part of the city.
Yeah.
And yeah, the beer queue was insane. Insanely long, but also everywhere you look, it's just like insta famous coffee professionals, and we're so isolated out here in South Africa, so it really is like, seeing all these people who we follow from a distance, but they certainly don't know who we are, or if they do, they know maybe the brand but not the people behind it, and you just get into the coolest conversations. So I completely agree with you, and I can also see Alejo out late night partying, so it all makes sense.
You didn't hear it from me, though, okay? You didn't hear it from me.
Okay. Luckily, it's not like, on a public channel now or anything like that, so...
We're not recording this, are we?
Oh, no, geez, of course not. I've actually got Diego Barona on a podcast late last year, telling me that the SL28 is in such high demand. He's going to have every customer chasing him for SL28. And I was like, can we get some? And he's like, yeah, we'll make a plan. So I just reminded him the other day, like, don't forget, I've got you on record on a podcast that we're getting some SL28 this year. So it's
too funny.
That's actually the reason for the podcast, is just to get people on record.
There you go. Yeah, catch the recording and use it against them in the future. Clever.
Exactly, that's how good business is done, Okay, so back to forward, which is a interesting sentence. But 2019 rolls around. You've got this cool idea to make competition level coffee or high end specialty more readily available.
It's always bothered me that we call it competition coffee. I'll be honest with you, because competition coffee is not accessible for somebody who's not part of the competition space. If you don't compete you just don't really want competition coffee because there's maybe a sense of arrogance about it, but also a sense that it's like it's out of your reach. It's not within my scope if I'm not part of that community. And I think it's a if anything it's
Sure.
marketing saying that this coffee is competition, therefore it's the best out there, the best around. I think it's for me, it's kind of goofy. I think the more we compete, the more we need to bring coffees that we're using in the realm of competition to the everyday community. Why are we competing if nobody can drink or purchase these coffees? What are we doing? We're kind of
Yeah, I agree with
we're all
that.
wasting our time if we're not actually doing something that is going to benefit producers. It's going to benefit consumers. It's going to benefit retail businesses, roasters, etc. That always kind of bugged me in my time competing. I'm still competing. I'm not retired or something like that.
Exactly.
But in my years, I've always found a nuisance in that. And Forward came about with the idea that it could be your kind of friendly neighborhood wine shop where Forward will buy a case because the average consumer does not buy a case of wine. And then we'll break down a case and we'll sell you bottles. But in our context, a bottle is 1 kilogram and it actually produces about probably 17 bottles of actual wine if we're going pound for pound liquid
Yeah.
volume. I've done the equation on that before, so just trust me. Trust me that it's about 17 bottles equivalency. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if anybody has a question about the formula, we'll put it down in the comments. Like, subscribe, love this podcast. We'll put it down in the comments.
That was amazing. I might just take that as a soundbite and Cole says.
God, how's that for a good pump? So Forward came about with the idea of trying to one bring commercial presence to these coffees, but also just make them more accessible to people that weren't just competing in the space. I found it was relatively easy for myself to get these coffees because I had a resume that people, producers, acknowledged that I was participating and that I had at this point recent success. I didn't know how long I'd been participating, but recent success, and people wanted to sell me these coffees. But then, other people reach out that don't have the history, the resume, whatever, and they're not getting the same treatment. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, in that case, I'll always have the best coffees, and nobody else can really compete because I hold all the quote unquote competition coffees. And, so now we're not even a fair competition grounds. So I think uh, Forward came about for kind of those reasons. One, I want the everyday person to be able to drink and understand these coffees, and I want them to get off of the realm and platform of being known as competition coffees. And I want everyday people, roasters, baristas to be able to work with them and to use them, whether that's at home, in the cafe, in the roastery, and see that there is possibility to drink what the world regards as, some of the best coffees out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know a few home roasters personally who buy coffee from you fairly frequently.
Cool.
Has this been mostly is your clientele mostly commercial businesses buying these coffees, or do you have a lot of home roasters also buying from you guys? Because obviously the smaller quantities make sense in that
Yeah,
space.
it's really interesting. It's an e-commerce platform, so I don't physically get to interact with all of the clients. So sometimes I don't genuinely know their scope. I'll be totally honest with you. However, I
Okay.
think, if we were going percentage of revenue, of course, it's mostly industry. If we were going percentage of
Yep.
consumer base, I think it would be maybe 40%, 30 to 40% either home roasters or like home roasters selling to their buddies that they're not really a business, but they're kind of a hobby-ish business.
Yep, absolutely. That makes sense. And mostly in Canada, or you guys do export a lot of coffee, don't you?
We don't export a lot. We're not huge volumes. We maybe make it look like we're bigger than we are. But we do a decent amount into Asia. Probably 20% of our sales revenue comes from Asia. Maybe 10 to 15% from sort of Europe, and I'll include Middle East in there too. And then the remainder would be North America, with the bulk of it being Canada. Probably, I don't know, 60 odd percent, 50 odd percent in Canada, maybe 10 to 15 in the US.
Okay,
I think that
awesome.
math works out. Don't double check me on that one though.
Yeah, again, I'm not doing the I'm not doing the quick maths. Uh, that's really cool. I mean, I've been following Forward since we met in 2021, I think it was in Milan, where Steve-O was competing, and you very kindly came and tasted some espresso with us just before we went on stage. Um, and it's been incredible to see all the travel involved and, meeting all the producers and obviously selecting lots and really building the brand. It's been really inspirational to see. And congratulations on that. It's obviously, I think people can assume that a successful roastery would automatically lead to a successful business in another area of the industry, but it's two completely different things. So well done, man. It's really, really awesome to see.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Favorite country producing coffee at the moment? Like if you could only drink coffee from one country for the rest of your life?
One country for the rest of my life.
Maybe a bit of a dumb question.
Life, Dario.
I know, man. I know my answer, but I'm interested to hear yours. I've got a specific coffee. I've got a screen size. I've got.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's very specific.
I would say maybe Ecuador is my current favorite country. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff happening there. I think there's a lot of
Awesome.
hyper talented coffee producers that are all kind of breaking onto the scene, like our mutual friend Pepe Gijon. Big ups to Pepe. Love
Yeah.
what he's doing at Soledad. Many young coffee producers that are just kind of keen, eager, and excited to be doing what they're doing, and really, I think, pushing quality and doing anything and everything they can. I think a cool thing about the producers in Ecuador is a lot of them are not traveling to the shows, and from discussion with them, the big reason is they don't want to leave the ground. They want to be there. They want to kind of catch every moment of everything that they're doing and really be involved in what is realistically very early days for the specialty coffee movement in Ecuador. So I think Ecuador is a cool and beautiful country, amazing people, great culture.
That's amazing. Such a great answer. I have been blown away. We only buy coffee, Ecuadorian
Okay.
coffee from Pepe. But everything we've had from him, and we've had quite a bit of variety, has been amazing. But then obviously we've tasted a lot of amazing, Ecuadorian coffee from other roasters, and yeah, just amazing to see what's happening there and to hear from Pepe's perspective the incredible potential for coffee, and as you said, a lot of younger producers very, very interested in the growth in the specialty industry. So yeah, that's a really great answer, man.
Okay, what's your screen size? Tell me
Are
your
you guys
screen
buying?
size here, brother.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm a sucker. We drink so much amazing coffee, as you guys do. We're very competition focused. We've got, on any given morning, we're drinking multiple geishas and amazing coffee from all over the place. But gun to my head, desert island, last chance to choose a coffee to take with me, I would take a double A Kenyan. I'm just a basic acidity fan,
Okay.
So that would be my answer. Double A Kenyan through the AeroPress.
The
Believe it or
AeroPress,
not,
Dario.
I know. Can you believe it? I don't ever use the AeroPress. Like day to day, I never brew on my AeroPress. But for some reason, juicy, big, bold Kenyans through the AeroPress are just incredible. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm on record saying it. I'm a sucker for Kenyan coffee. Obviously, we're tasting a lot of amazing coffees from all over the place, and it would have to be something pretty special to take a Kenyan coffee to competition right now for us. But yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. I dig it. I'm into it. I love Kenyan coffees. Not sure I'd throw them through the AeroPress, but
I
hey,
know, man.
man,
Tim
you do you.
Wendelbo, he got me on the AeroPress train. I know. We have a pretty extensive filter menu in our cafe, and we brew everything through the April brewer. So we really enjoy the flat bottom brewer. We don't even have an AeroPress, I don't think, in our space, but for some reason that would be my answer. So yeah, it doesn't really make sense, but it also makes a lot of sense to me. I love this.
I dig it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So at the moment, you obviously, as you mentioned earlier, you've been traveling a lot, sharing. So let me not explain what you've been doing because I don't really know the whole story. But what has been the main purpose of the travel that you've done since WBC?
Yeah. Main purpose has been, what has been the main purpose?
To take a step back, sorry, you were traveling extensively for Forward Coffee, sourcing coffee all over the world and building relationships with producers and everything. So the long stints away from home are definitely don't seem to be new for you, but it seems like you've been going in a different direction since WBC, less farm visits, more interaction with customers.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair way to frame it. I haven't been in any coffee producing areas in the last. That's a lie. I was in Chiang Rai in December, but to zoom in, so I started traveling 2015. It kind of ramped up maybe in 2017. 2018, it was a balance of traveling for competition and also traveling to source coffees. 2019 kind of fell into the same cycle. I think 2019 I was away for maybe 5 months or so. Uh, that's where I met Stevo for the first time. I went to South Africa. I was kind of everywhere. Everywhere and nowhere has kind of been the motto of my last few years, in a sense. And what I mean by that, or what I've come to recognize, is that being everywhere is almost equivalent to the sense of being nowhere, because you don't really have the ability to root in anywhere and dig any deeper in terms of routine, connections, community, all that sort of stuff. I think it's a lot of it ends up being very surface level, and so one of the sort of deeper truths of traveling is it's really hard, physically and emotionally. And I just thought I'd throw that out there before kind of framing being on the road all the time, because people think it's all shits and giggles and unicorns
Yeah.
all the time. So this year has been mostly focused on connecting with clients. This year, I guess, thinking of 2023. Mostly focused on clients. 2022 was trying to get back on the road and visit producers. What ended up happening kind of 2022, I got a little overzealous. I bought too much coffee. Forecasting in our space is really challenging.
Yeah.
I was over anticipating on growth models, et cetera, et cetera. I bought a little bit too much. It didn't play out. 2023 became about traveling to ideally sell coffee. So I spent a few months in the US trying to meet with potential roaster partners there. I then went into sort of a competition loop where, I don't know, April, May, June was all kind of dedicated to to Boram's nationals, to my nationals for Brewers, to the Canadian nationals for Nelson, who's a talented competitor that we work with in Canada that works at Rosso. And then the cycle into Worlds for both myself, Boram, and his brother Garam, and kind of training all of us in our facility in Calgary. And then Athens was an absolute gift. Boram wins, Garam comes third, I come 22nd, which I think is the best ranking of the three of us, actually. And
I love it.
We spend. I'm super proud of it. I wear it on my sleeve. I tell people all the time, 22nd in the world. I think it's great. I'm thrilled with the result. Obviously not what I was going for, but stoked with what I put out there. Very happy with the presentation. Coffee didn't hit. Shit happens. Happy to be there. Happy for the opportunity and keeping
Amazing.
my head high and spirits high.
Absolutely, as it should be.
Came home. Yeah, totally, man. Life is a gift. Coffee is a gift. I'm happy to be here. Was home July and August for the most part, and then September we hit the road. We talked with Boram and Marcia, and Dave was kind of the core team. Marcia works with Boram back in Brazil. Dave is my brother and business partner, and we kind of planned a sort of route through Asia. We did a little bit in Canada before going to Asia to kind of test some stuff out, and then we did a route through Asia that kind of hit the major trade shows, so like the Specialty Coffee Association of Japan. We went to the cafe show in Korea. We did the Taiwan, do they call it World of Coffee? Whatever, the latte art and coffee and good spirits, whatever that show was called.
Yeah.
And tried to use those shows as kind of the focal points for the trip. And then on the sort of pre and post dates, we planned different events, be it bar takeovers where we would just do a open service, menu and serve the public, whoever that might be that's coming in, and then some seminars, some omakase services where it's a fixed menu with a ticketed price and experience-based service. So tried some different concepts, but the focal point of it was, I think, similar to what I sort of mentioned earlier, was one, being in front of people and showing people that, here's the world barista champion. He's just a normal guy, just no different to you. He just had a dream that he chased really hard, and you can too, was part of the purpose. And then also just kind of bringing sort of access again, sort of similar to what I again said, but bringing access to these coffees that we put, this competition bubble on, and bringing those into public domain and putting them on menus and coffee shops and serving them to people who are coming in, and putting them on, creative ways on omakase services and trying new things with coffee as an ingredient, let's say.
That's so cool, man. It's just so awesome to see the progression. You go from all the hard work to have the coffees available to compete with, all the experience and competition, putting it all together, being part of the winning team, and then taking that on the road and just inspiring a whole generation of coffee professionals. I think it's admirable to see how open you guys have been since winning. And it definitely does feel like the goal has been to raise the standard and to inspire people to go for it, which I really love. So well done to you and Boram and the whole team.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate that. I think that is the goal. It's exactly that. The better you get, the better I get, and the better they get. So I think we all gotta work together to get better.
Exactly. That's so cool. I'm assuming you're not competing this year yourself. It sounds like you have your hands full in other places, or am I Am I incorrect there?
No, I am not competing this year myself. I am taking a step back from competition. I competed in Brewers Cup last year. I hadn't competed since 2020, so been on a little bit of a hiatus, but I've been enjoying the role of the coach. I think it's given me a lot of perspective as a competitor, actually, and I think coming from the role of a competitor and shifting into a coach, I think gives a lot of unique constructive criticism or feedback to people that are competing that I'm working with, and just I can give a maybe unique angle into it. So we are coaching, we being my brother and I. Dave is my brother and business partner. He's been my coach since 2010. We've always done competition together, and have always been kind of the team, though people would know me because it's my name, on the presentation. Dave is equally, or if not more important in the competitions, because I would not be there without him. I think he's one of the greatest coaches ever. I can't say he's the best brother ever because I've got other siblings, so I won't go as far as saying that. But I think he's
Gotta be careful there.
Got to be careful there. But he's an incredible coach, both for me as a coffee competitor, but also just general day-to-day, life and business. But we are coaching some baristas this year for the WBC. We just helped a guy win the nationals in the Philippines, and we'll work with him for the World Barista Championship, working with a brewer for Chicago. So kind of taking a step back, really enjoying the moment and opportunity to work with other competitors and see coffee through their eyes, and get to support and guide their journeys. And who knows, maybe next year I jump back on the horse and give it another go around. Who knows? We'll see.
Awesome, man. Well, either way, good luck for the competitions coming up. Others, for the competitors you're supporting, as well as future competitions that you get involved in. I'm sure we'll catch up somewhere in the world this year. Hopefully in South Korea. That's the goal, is to get to WBC. We've got lots of work to do over the next few weeks leading up to our nationals, but I think we are. Yeah, we're in with a shot for sure. Totally. So hopefully we'll catch up there, and otherwise somewhere else. Yeah, man.
Totally.
I really appreciate your time, Cole. It's been so good to catch up, dude.
Totally, Dario. When is your nationals? Sorry to not let you end the podcast.
No. I'd speak all day, man. I just know that my all day is your all night. So I'm just very aware of the time over there. Our nationals is in 3 weeks' time, so it's the 3rd to the 5th of March.
Okay.
And we had our regional competition just, I want to say 2 weeks ago, so it's been a really tight turnaround. And yeah, there hasn't been a lot of time to make any changes. So we're taking a very similar approach to nationals, even though the format's a bit different. We had a very interesting format for regionals. We actually had 10 minutes to present 2 sensory judges, all 3 courses: espresso, milk, and signature.
Oh, interesting.
And
okay.
10 minutes was tight. Yeah, but our guys did so well. I mean, Fani finished at like 9:58.5 seconds.
Oh man!
And I kind of joked with him that he could have used the whole 10 minutes. And then Lutle got up there, last competitor, and he finished with like 35 hundredths of a second left. So both of them were in time, which was the main goal. And their coffees were tasting great and scored really well. So I think we're just going to stick with that straight into internationals with some tweaks to the sets.
Sweet. Well, I wish your guys all the success. If they have any questions or want any feedback or anything like that, feel free to hit me up. Likewise to anybody that might be listening to this podcast, maybe drop it after the South African Nationals.
Amazing, man.
Just kidding. But yeah, feel free.
Exactly. If you're a South African competitor, don't think about it.
If you ever have questions, one of my biggest pieces of advice It's just reach out to somebody on social media. There are so many people that have a ton of experience that would be more than willing to answer. Don't hit them with a novel or wall of questions, but hit them with a couple basic things, or whatever your question might be. It doesn't have to be basic, but a lot of people are willing to get back to you. They responded to me back in the day when I was grinding through before getting to Worlds and working through Canada, and you got lots of opportunity just by leaning into the community. So feel free to let the boys send me a message, and if they got any questions, need any support, any of that stuff, man, happy to help.
I really appreciate it, Cole. You're a legend, man. We've been fans of you and your work for a long time, and it's just really cool to get to chat and share a bit more of your story with our listeners. So thanks for your time, man.
Likewise, dude. I love what you guys are doing, and I can't wait to come visit the maybe not so new anymore year old roasting space that you guys built. Looks amazing, man. Been following your journey too, and
man, thank you so much.
Love what you guys are doing. So keep on keeping up, baby.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. If you ever come to South Africa, we would be privileged to host you, man. Come and hang out, and we'll go and road trip and drink some good wine and maybe some good coffee if we can find some.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Dario.
Awesome, Cole. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much again, and yeah, dude, we'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for the opportunity, man. Really appreciate it. Great chatting with you. Catch you soon.
Of course, Cole. Thanks, man. Cheers, eh?
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Cole is one of the legends of our industry, and it was absolutely great catching up with him. We have so many more amazing episodes lined up. Thank you to everyone who voted for us in the Sprudgy Awards. We actually got one honoree for the best coffee podcast, which is amazing. We're 6 months in and just loving the whole process. So we hope you're with us for the long term. We've got some amazing guests coming up, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.